This time on Captain Chaos's laboratory, we're going to be working on a Lemax Carole Towne collection Reindeer Corral. Very interesting piece. Set the box down. It comes with its own foam base with cutouts for the different parts and a little tunnel underneath to run your wire. So it's actually kind of cool. So if you're not good at making foam cutouts for your Christmas, you find one of these, you'd be good to go. Plus it comes with a 3-headed adapter, since it's got 3 things that get plugged in. So it's a rather large set if you've never seen it before, like I haven't. So we need to feed one here. Like that. And it lights up on the inside. You can see a yellowish orange glow. You can hear it. It's not turning like it's supposed to. I'll turn that off. And one goes to the house right there. And it lights up. And apparently Santa's supposed to move back and forth, and he's not doing anything either. And lastly is the tree. Which should just light up. And it does. I can hear the motor. It's not doing anything. So this might be a slightly longer video. Music works. And the reason I say it might be is because apparently it's 2 pieces for the price of 1. So we're going to start with 1 piece and work our way through to the second piece. First thing I'm going to do is remove these items so I don't damage or lose them. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to set them up here, since those don't need any repair work. So we have a Santa that isn't moving on his mechanism. And this has the standard foam bottom. This is a ceramic house. I'm looking through the door behind Kris Kringle here. He seems okay, but let's see if I can see anything inside. So it looks like the mechanism inside is very similar to the crypt door on the mausoleum from Halloween. It has a very similar track and micro switch setup. And this one has screws, so why don't we start with this one first. Let's turn off the flashlight. This one, you're going to have to pull the bottom off. Now, it is supposed to have a windsock here and something else right here. They're not in the box. This is an older piece, so they could have been lost a long time ago. These sparkles, yeah, glitter. It's everywhere. So it's supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 6 screws around the outside edge, but it only has 1. So, and it's not going to lift off because of the reindeer. The reindeer glued over the outside edge of the track. So I'm probably going to have to remove the center screws, which hold the track in. And I see that that one is stripped out. That one's not. So it has had an attempt at one point in the past to repair it. There's that. Now I can lift this. And this gear is broken. And belt's kind of crappy. Let's give it power and see what happens now that I have the top off. Oh. There we go. And the light's right there. And it works fine. Yep, so we got a broken gear, and this belt is flopping everywhere. So, the stripped out screw is the one that's on this standoff, which holds this track, which is what this spins in. And you can see here's the inner gear. And then here's the centerpiece that stays stationary while this rotates around it. Let's see, can we take this apart without removing the center track due to that stripped screw? Possibly. Let's try. So I'm going to remove all the bottom screws all the way around to see if I can get to the belt. I may not be able to because there is a screw under the track, but maybe there's enough flex just to pop the belt off. Not really. So all right, what do we got that can get out this bad screw? Throw this screw away. Sometimes you have a stripped Phillips screw, you can use a blade or flathead and grab enough of it to pull it out. You can also get easy outs and do the same thing. So now we can get that off because there's a screw that's underneath this. So you literally have to take all this apart to change the belt. So let's get this top plate off. Those are the screws that hold the top on. That these pieces are different than the ones that hold the bottom on. So that gear's good. That gear's good. And there's the belt, which has a ton of slack. Still springy, but it's going. So let's see what I got for belts. The belt's too big. Belts, I believe, also too big. Let's check. Oh yeah, way too big. It's smaller. Let's see. Nope. I sure do have a lot of the same size. I need to find more of these pieces that actually run that size. There we go. Found the belt. Much better. Let's get rid of that belt. And let's get this thing back together. Sorry for all the noises if you can hear them. There's a storm coming in and got some wind blowing some stuff around. So you hear it bouncing up the side of the house, and hopefully I don't lose power because we've been losing power intermittently throughout the day. Alright, so those screws are back in. Now let's get this cover back on and change that gear out that's broke. So there is a bushing underneath it. Just got to make sure not to lift the bushing with it. That's an itty bitty 8-tooth, which I believe is that one right there. It is. Yep. Just need something to hold it square so I can push it down with something. Directly underneath this is another gear, and that gear is pressed up against the standoff. So it's transferring all of its energy into the desk. gear is slightly taller, so I want to make sure there's no interference. It looks okay. I can also push it down a little bit more. So let's do that. Gears turning. Let's screw this in and give it a test run. And then I'll have to look for some replacement screws for the ones that were missing and the one that was stripped. On these screws, the ones that hold the track and the outer ones that hold it together are the most important. So this track here, this inner, you could technically get away with just 2 out of 3 as an example, but if you lose your screws, try and find some hobby screws that will fit, because you don't want it binding. That can break the gear. So there's those. Alright, now let's check this again. Drop it in. There we go. Because after removing the strip screw and keeping one out of this thing, I only have 2 screws left. So I'm going to put those opposite corners, or opposites of the triangle. So the triangle has a long side, so I'm putting it across the long side, and that's to hold it so I can test it. And then if it works without interference, because of that slightly taller gear, because this one's short and split open, I can find some hobby screws to repair it. Looking at an angle, there is probably a 1/16 of an inch gap between the top of the gear and the bottom of the rotating plate. So we're good. And this motor, which looks like every other one they make, the part number is actually 090805, and this doesn't spin as quick as the other one. So this is probably like an 8,000 to 10,000 RPM motor, not a 14,400. It's slightly slower. So, there's a screw that should work on the inside. There we go. Oh yeah, forgot. Gears don't fit. Okay, let's get these cords out of my way. So now to know that the interference is good, meaning there is none, Let's unscrew, put the top back on, and then screw this back together, get some screws, complete this, and then move on to the Santa's house there, or Santa's barn and reindeer corral. Did I get it on the first try? No, I didn't. Didn't think so. Second try. Yes. There we go. Beautiful. So now we just need a handful of screws to complete this. Which I probably won't waste too much time trying to find. I'll probably do that when we're done, because I'm sure y'all don't watch this for me to go searching for some screws. I just want to find at least one or two more to help pin the base on. Got a pile of them right outside the view of the camera, multiple sizes, and I think I got a couple here that would work. This one will work. So I'm going to put that one on the opposite side just to hold this thing from opening. Like that. So take this apart. You're going to have to take out these three screws here. You know, I said originally I had them this way, but when it was opening, this hole lined up first. So then once you do that, the center comes out with the reindeer, and you can remove the outer six, and then these three that are a large triangle are the inner ring or race. So I'm going to set this away, out of the way, and I'll look for screws later. So now we got to deal with the fact that the little Santa Claus here doesn't want to come out of his door, or sorry, go back into his door. He come out just fine. I hear it running, so I think the motor is okay. I think it has a broken gear, or the micro switch is wedged, which is engaged at the moment, but it looks like it engaged too far, or something got caught in here, like snow, fake snow, since I see there's a wisp of it right here, piece of casting. Not sure, but let's because there's fake snow. First, we're going to do that. Let's get the power completely out of my way. Because this is a ceramic house. We're going to set it on the pad of safety. Now we're going to work on removing this. We'll use a small X-Acto scraper. This is from 2006. Underneath the mats, Lemax likes to stamp their dates in, which, in case you can't find it on the packaging or online, when they make their pieces, they stamp the dates into the bottom under the mats. So. luckily, once I got it started, it came right off. It's not sticky anymore. It's too old. But spray adhesive will put that right back on. So here's the bottom. It's pretty obvious that the green section comes out. There's the Lemax 2006. So grab a spudger, and this glue is pretty well shot, so it's not having any issues just coming out. But where the problem is going to lie is Mr. Santa here is not allowing the base to come out because he's sticking out. So I got to see if I can walk this out. So I'm going to give myself more wiggle room by removing the glue. The glue gives me the gap of the glue extra space. So if you have one that's stuck out, try removing some of the excess glue and see if that frees up enough area for movement. It doesn't always, but it never hurts to try. Alright, that's almost all of it. So now let's see if we have enough wiggle room. The wires that go to these two lights are also really, really tight. So I'm going to have to probably break them free from the porcelain to give me a little bit more play. Right here. And I'm trying to pull the back up, and these are getting under tension. So I'm going to try and chip them off the glue so I have a little bit more maneuverability. Luckily the glue is old enough that it seems to be coming off pretty easy. So there's the purple wire and the white wire. So that's the first light. Now we're doing the white wire and the yellow wire, which is the second light. There we go. So they're now separated and allow to give me some extra wiggle room. Slowly coming. I am now caught on the speaker. Is the speaker screwed or glued? If it's glued, I just pop it off and the glue would be fine, but if it's screwed, it's going to cause a slight issue, and it is screwed. Of course it is. It's like I'm screwed, but it's not. Alright. Alright. I'm going to manually manipulate the pulley and see if I can get the gears to pull in and pull Santa Claus inside. Well, doing that, none of the gears are turning, so I think I have a broken gear. Okay. Those wires I was telling you about are also between the speaker and the porcelain or ceramic. So I'm trying to push them out of the way to give me a little bit more wiggle room so I don't damage those wires. And they just seem to keep wanting to get caught. Just getting caught on the speaker. Everything else is clear. We're going to see there's a hole I could get a screwdriver in there and unscrew the speaker, but there's not. The speaker is right there through the barn doors. And the slip joint is to slide it that way. The speaker has a notch that the screw sits in to push it that way to slide it out. You can't do that because, well, it's against the porcelain house. So this was not designed to come out if Santa Claus ever got stuck in the out position. I got the doors to close a little bit. I got him to go in a little bit with my finger because I lifted him off of the track. But if I can get him to go in just a little bit more, I might be able to get this to pivot out. Yeah, it's just caught on that speaker. Okay, so let's push it back in. And take another gander at options. The screw that holds the track down. I'm going to see if I can get that screw to come off, maybe get the track to slide. Let's try this one. There's a plate that holds the track down, and there's a screw that's visible from the inside. The other screw is too far over. I'm thinking if I get the screw to loosen enough to slide the track up, I might be able to push the track in. I don't want to force it over the teeth, because if it breaks the teeth on the track that he's on, yeah, it's pretty much useless. If it breaks the teeth on the gear, generally replaceable. At such the steep angle, it's only rotating the screw a little bit as I'm turning the screwdriver. If you have this piece, try to make it fail on the in position. But yeah, there's no control. That's as much as I can get. So hopefully it's enough to lift the track off the gear, maybe. Trying to turn the gear. The gear is right here. And that gear is really stuck. So whatever it is wedging the gear and the track. I can only get the gear to move about 3 teeth in either direction and then it stops instantly. That's out. That's in. It does not want to go. So whatever it is definitely wedging the gears. It's probably a broken gear that's wedged into the gear teeth. So let's get back to this. Because if I can get them to go in a little bit, I can get the doors to clear the porcelain or ceramic frame, which means the whole piece should pivot out. And it's just about a 1/4 inch off. Then if I pull it down and lift it here, it then gets caught here, so I can't pivot it because it's now pressing there against the porcelain. It's so close. It is so close. Of course, the speaker isn't helping any. Alright. Possible to free up this speaker. So the speaker, the reason I'm having a hard time and the reason I can't turn it to pivot it out, the speaker is pressing up against this power port. If that power port wasn't there, the speaker would rotate all the way out. That's awesome. So doors and see if that helps. How to remove the doors when they're stuck open is to pry up on the top plastic so you can pull the bottoms out of the spring, and then don't lose the spring. The spring is going to come out with it. Right there. So what that does is it helps me see a little bit more inside. Maybe with the doors off, let's try this again. See if they get some. I'll have to glue that back on. Get enough flex to get this guy out. Well, it's coming down a little bit more. Not much, because I'm still caught on the speaker. I really wish they didn't glue all these wires right here. Yeah, right now the speaker is rubbing that port. Oh, getting a little bit more. Just wiggling it back and forth. I have a lot of it down. I'm going to try and see if there's anything in here I can do to make the door move. We got stuff stuck in the teeth. So yeah, that only moves one revolution. It pulls them in a little, but not enough to do anything. So whatever is broke inside the gear pack that I cannot see. Or something like this, which is a piece of casting material. This will work. Here's a piece of porcelain casting stuck in the teeth. Right there. Did that free anything up? No. I still only get one revolution and then it stops. If the screws are on the bottom, I could probably do it. Well, the screws point upwards. Alright, so that's not working. So the next step is I guess I'm going to be trying to pop out this power port. Give me some extra room. So I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver to see if I can chip away at some of this glue. Everybody's outside doing donuts in the rain. Okay, get a lot of the glue off, but not all of it. This power port has a nut on the back, and then they use the glue to hold the nut from turning. So if you don't get it all free, you won't be able to spin the nut. And there's just a small little glob of it at the bottom that doesn't want to break free. I don't know if that made a difference. Maybe with just a lot of the glue removed, maybe there's enough room. There's some of the glue coming out. Let's try it. Because with the glue removed, it's got a bigger tolerance or a larger gap. No, still nothing. That's some of the glue. Well, I wanted to really show you how to take this thing apart, but this might take me hours. Taking it apart's easy if the Santa Claus isn't stuck out, but this guy is definitely not wanting to go back in. I can't even flex the plate enough to get it to jump the teeth on the gears. It's one of the things I was hoping I could do by unscrewing that screw a little bit, was to flex the plastic plate that the gear is in and then have it clear the teeth so I could slide them in, but it won't flex because there's 2 screws and I can only get to 1. Let's try that. Anything? Come on. Whatever you do, do not try and yank him out, because there's a little stopper on the bottom of the plastic that also is connected, well, it hits the micro switches. So if you try and yank Santa Claus out, you're going to break those stoppers and it won't actually function anymore. Another piece of ceramic that was in the front gear. Let's see if this thing turns now. There's some of the glue. Ah, it turned a little bit more. There's more of the glue. But still not enough to get him in. Come on. I know you wanna work. this gear right here is split in half, and that's part of my problem. It's now wedging on the broken gear. Trying to get the gear to come off like that. So that will alleviate part of my wedging problem. Now let's see if that's in. There we go. Santa went in. So that was it. So that piece of casting broke the gear. And then when it broke the gear, it wedged Santa, because when a gear breaks, they don't mesh like this anymore. It meshes like this. It misses and it gets stuck. And that's what that gear was doing. So now it's like he's supposed to. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And there's the nut with the glue that I was scraping off. This is the problem with the porcelain or ceramic houses. I know people love them, and if you watched a couple of recent few, the reason they've been failing is because the ceramic, they don't clean the castings off, and the castings break off over time, and these hard pieces of ceramic, like this right here, that fell out of the house, gets caught in the teeth, and then the teeth, well, they break, because ceramic is a little bit stronger than plastic. Not by much, though, just a hair. So, yeah, it's quite annoying, but to each their own on what you like. I mean, everybody has their own opinions on what's better. I personally like the plastic houses better, because they don't chip. They don't throw crap inside and cause problems. But personal preference. So now I need to separate these layers, and to do that I need to well, I'm going to have to start with the circuit board. So I'm going to pull out some of these plugs so I can get to the screws under the circuit board. So first, I'll remove the plugs. And next, we're going to remove the screws that hold in the circuit board. So there's one. There's two. And there's three. So with the circuit board out of the way, there's still two wires for the motor, so don't break them. Don't forget they're there. Now I need to remove these base wires. And then here's the micro switches I was talking about. Hopefully you can see them, because they're at the bottom of the screen. But the two black micro switches, and then this is the piece I was talking about. If you yank it, this green piece of plastic that pushes the micro switches, you'd break that off and then it'd be non-functional. Also, we'll check the belt. Belt's better than the other one piece was, but it's still probably going to be replaced since we have it apart. Yeah, the Nutcracker Suite got all jammed up because of the broken castings, which is a more recent video. I've had a few, and that's why I mentioned on the Be Afraid Clocksmith. And even though it doesn't have any moving parts, it has horrible casting over castings on the inside. And that's the one I turned into a real working clock. And yeah, that just sucked, because those over castings caused the problems. There we go. So I'm going to check any damage to these gears here. Here's more ceramic, and this itty bitty little piece is perfect enough to fit inside of the teeth of the gear and break it. So let's get that out of here. So let's make sure that these didn't get damaged since this is the gear just adjacent to the one I just popped out. Check the bar, check this big guy. So I believe this was an 8 or 10 tooth. Let's put it back together real quick. Or just count the two pieces. This one's got 4. And this one has 6. So it's a 10 tooth. Which was the most common gear to break on the older pieces. And if you're still watching, I don't know if you just saw the lights flicker. That's Storm. Technically the camera shouldn't turn off because it's got a battery. There's a 10 tooth. So that 10 tooth is pressed on right here to the bottom of the pulley. So I'm going to... There's the itty bitty little belt. There's a knurled section on the shaft where the 10 tooth is pressed up to. Problem is just getting it to start. There we go. And we have more ceramic pieces stuck in the grease on the bottom side of this as well. So again, not a problem with plastic or the resins. Now the resins do sometimes chip and create problems, but it's not as common as the ceramic. The ceramic are notorious for it. Alright, so I don't have the finger strength to push this up, so I'm going to use these like I've done in the past and push the larger pulley down and set the gear. And just need something to tap up against so I can tap this down. That'll work. Because the knurled section has to cut into the gear, it's harder to press on. So I'm using a screw to hit the center of the pulley to transfer the metal down and set the gear. So the gear is now set. You could technically use one of the screws from the house, but I don't feel like damaging those since that other piece is already missing screws. Alright, let's find the belt. Got tons of itty bitty belts. Those are the size belts you need for Dr. Stretch and Pull's Torture Factory on for one of the 2 generations to make the gears work. I worked on a whole bunch of them, so I bought a baggie of them, and now I don't fix them anymore because nobody sends them in. That's okay. If you want to fix them yourself, that's fine too. If you need a pulley belt, let me know. You got 100 or so of them in there. Ooh, that's the closest. Let's see. Color doesn't matter. Sometimes when I buy the gear kits, they come with white and orange and pink belts because they come with belts too. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So like this gear kit here from Akuai, or however they pronounce it, comes with 4 belts. Blue, white, tan, and black, I think it is. Yeah. So let's get rid of this belt so I don't actually put it in my stuff. But that belt seems to fit perfectly. So now let's reassemble this thing and give it a whirl. So first things first, let's put Santa Claus back in his track, like so. And now we need to move this over and get this lined up, like so. Sorry about some of the pauses. My phone is going off like crazy because I have a delivery showing up. I have parts that I've ordered to repair some of these. I've already started making videos for that I had to stop because I didn't have any parts. And it's supposed to deliver last week and it says they don't know where my package is. So for those of you who see this and say, where's mine? Sorry, I've told a few that the parts are, I don't know where they are. I really don't. Somewhere in the postal service. Usually never have a problem with the postman getting me my stuff. Just sometimes FedEx and UPS, but man, right now, post office is losing all my stuff. Yeah, our last known sighting of it was in a facility in Florida. Great, I don't live in Florida. Can we find it? There we go. So there was a notification that another set of parts is scheduled to arrive this afternoon. So I had to stop for a second to check so they don't interrupt me while I'm doing this with a doorbell. Let's see, make sure I didn't lose. I think that was a circuit board screw. Yeah, it is. Where'd my other screws go? There's one. So apparently, in the moving stuff around, I lost one screw. Replacement right there. Also, what's nice is most of these hobby screws are all the same as far as thread and stuff goes. There we go, all the screws. Let's get the circuit board back in. We'll probably do a dry run on this thing, meaning we're going to do it when it's sitting outside of the house. We'll make sure that this might be a piece that you have to let turn off naturally. We're going to find out. I'm assuming it is because it has a set of sensors. Alright, so plug in the micro switches, plug in the speaker, plug back in the power port. So then we got to put the doors on too. Can't forget that. And let's plug in the house. Make sure that's off. Alright, the belt is turning, but it's not turning right. The gear's not stay in place. I think one of the gears may have come out of its hole. Yep. That's why we test it before we put it together. So, one of the gears isn't spinning, so either it is cracked and I didn't see it, or it is not lined up in its slot. So unplug the micro switches again and the speaker, flip the board, and take these back out. More glue. So yeah, that's what happened. The bar came out. And have to press this gear in further, apparently. It's not all the way on the knurling. That's better. Better, but not all the way. Still a little bit more to go. I think when I put it in the first time, I got it off of the, there's a bushing, and I think I got stuck on the bushing. I don't think the bushing was all the way in. Alright, so I'm going to tap this in, and I'm going to stop for a second because my delivery is almost here of parts. Then I'll probably just get this put back together. Better. Much better. Less slack, less slop. And let's make sure everything's lined up. Good. So, alrighty. We're going to take a break here. So, intermission. Get yourself some popcorn or whatever you need. And I'll be back in a few. Once I get my delivery and get this screwed back together, since you saw how I did it the first time. One moment. Alright. I got it back together. I had to change the belt. That was the biggest problem I was having, is the belt was actually slipping, so it was just a hair too loose. Also, I didn't had to reset the timing. The one micro switch, the glue broke free, so I just had to re-glue it real quick. But anyhow, now, this is not a resetting piece. If you turn this off anywhere, it just turns off, which is weird since it has micro switches. You'd think it would turn off when the doors are closed, which is the smart way to do it, especially if you have to repair it. So at the moment, I just have the bottom hot glued on. I don't have the rubber on yet, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't interfere. When you put it back together, you got to make sure the door frame is all the way up so that the door doesn't hit the bottom of the porcelain. Yeah. So you definitely need to use the right belt. If you use the wrong belt or one that's a hair too big, it'll slip. And if it slips, it throws the timing out. Then you just have to reset Santa to where he's all the way back in the doors, put the belt on and turn it on, and it recalibrates itself with the two micro switches, which is nice. But I had to do it a few times to figure out that it was the belt. That white belt was just, like I said, a hair off. I found one that was black that was slightly smaller by a millimeter or two, and we're good to go. I also found that the wires were all twisted. The ground wire from the power port right there was cracked. And so it would intermittently work on me when I was trying to set the timing, and I just hit it with a dab of solder to fix where the wire had broke. Because the wires that come off of this one, instead of being stranded wire, they're solid core, which is really brittle and doesn't like to be moved, which is probably why I had that tight bundle that was glued together, reduced the amount of movement. But it's fixed. It needed a gear and a belt, and then to reset the timing, because the one micro switch came unglued, done by hot glue, and it's good to go. Now, the door here on the left, this is the spring for it. It's not in there because I had to make a new spring that was slightly bigger. You might be able to see it. It's kind of a silver color. That's because the hole in the bottom of the door is broke. So this spring has nothing to attach to. So normally it would stick, this piece would stick inside the door. It might be hard to see. It's gone now. It got caught and shot. But the hole in the bottom of the door is broke. So I had to make a fatter spring that pressed on the outside lip of the door. Because that spring is too small. There it is. Bounced off a piece of paper. Hey, speaking of that, let's use the piece of paper. So, the long bar that's facing this way presses up against that screw. If you saw in the filming, there's 2 screws underneath the door. And then the piece that sticks up goes into the bottom of the door. The left door, the hole is ripped out. So if I put that in, the door doesn't do anything. So I had to make a bigger spring out of that's from a ballpoint pen, the clicker. That's the spring, what's left of it. And put it on the door. And you can just barely see the silver, and it's grabbing the bottom edge of the door. Now the door doesn't close all the way because this spring has a little too much tension pushing it out, but it works. It's really hard to fix the door if the hole in the door is broke free to where you can't make it grab anymore. So it's about 90% fixed on the door. The only way to really fix it is to replace the left door, which you're not going to find. But there is a spare spring for the other door if that one breaks, so we'll put this back in the box. But you can take, I use ballpoint pen springs if you have one that's dry, and instead of replacing the cartridge, take the springs out, put them away, and then you can, because they're a small enough coil, you can bend them a little tighter and then bend them up or at different angles to match that style spring. They won't be 100% perfect, but they're going to be close enough that they work. So that way the door is not just sitting open all the time. So at least it tries to close. So unfortunately, I'm not able to put that back in because the bottom of the door is broke. So let's set that off to the side so it doesn't fly again. And the next thing I'm going to do is spray some adhesive on here. But before I do that, so we can actually see this thing work in its full glory, let's put this all back together. Because I'll spray the bottom on, I'll glue on the one piece that I broke off by accident there, and then I'll get this thing put back in its box, and we'll get it back to its owner. She said she wasn't concerned if it was repairable or not. We can try and repair it. Let's make this thing fully functional. So let's get the 3-headed adapter, plug it all in. Oh yeah, and I forgot this one feeds under the house as well as guess for testing it doesn't matter, but might as well make it as close to complete as possible. I guess the only thing it really needs is maybe some flocking or a little decorating to cover the styrofoam look. And in the picture, this is sitting over here, but I'm just going to set it there for the moment. I'll take a cell phone video panning around it so you can actually see it down low. I'm going to go turn off some lights. There we go. So there's the aerial shot of what it looks like. So all the lights work. The door goes in and out 90% because the one does catch a little because of that broken piece of plastic that, again, can't be repaired easily. Tree always work, but there's the lights. And then, of course, we have repaired this. So this isn't terribly difficult. I also have a couple of screws I found that will fit in the bottom of this. So I'll try and replace as many as possible before I ship it. Turn the volume down. So, to take this apart, remove the bottom, peel off the mat, which, based on its age, it might just peel off relatively easy, like this one did once it started. Break the glue out, because I'm sure it's dry and brittle. Pull the bottom out. And if the doors are open, like they are now, you're going to have a problem, as you saw that I did. And if the doors are closed, it should just pop right out the bottom. It's easy peasy. If the doors are open, you're going to fight with it, and you might break a wire. Just be mindful, do the best you can. You saw how long and hard it was for me to get it to work. But you saw that I found that it had a broken gear, and once I broke the gear off, it relieved tension, and I was able to manually close Santa and get him in and get the door out. Hopefully, if yours breaks, it breaks in the closed position to make it easier. But if you can see the broken gear and prop that bottom down at an angle, and you can get in there with a small electronic screwdriver and snap that gear, it'll make life easy. If it's just a bad motor, you can spin the pulley or gears with a small screwdriver and get Santa to go in, pull it out, replace the motor. Like I said, this motor is a different speed. It's not a 14.4 or a 14,400 RPM motor. These are the slower 8,900 RPM motors, probably because of its age. But that's fine, because if these were the 1400s, these reindeer would almost be like helicopter blades, just spinning really fast. And Santa would be going in, out, in, out, in, out. The whole point of this is not to be obnoxious. It's supposed to just be pleasant background setup. But hopefully this helps you repair 2 of the animated pieces in this 3-piece set that are at least the animated ones. If these break, these LEDs, you'd have to heat this up and get the bottom to come out and replace the respective color. I'm not going to lie, that is a pain in the butt. It's the same principle as some of the Department 56 accents that I had to get hot to get the bottom off to replace the miniature motor inside. That's the problem with potted ones. You can also maybe put some LEDs in the foam, or get some of the little ones that are colored to point up and put like a bush here if these burn out. It might be easier depending on your skill level. But there you go. The Reindeer Corral is back and up and functional. All I gotta do now is find some more screws, glue on the stud that I snapped again by accident, which is right there, and spray adhesive the bottom on. And I use Gorilla spray adhesive. You can use 3M, but I found this works the best because of the setup time being longer. If you don't have it on square, you can peel it back off and then redo it, and then it bonds harder. So it makes it harder to peel off in the future. So the 3M peels off a little easier. So it's a trade-off. If you use that stuff, or any of them, you should do it outside or in a well-ventilated area because it's really toxic smelling, and I'm sure it's probably not good for your health. So, any questions, concerns, comments, put them below. Sorry for the length of the video, but again, this is 2 repairs in 1 video for 1 piece of Christmas fun here. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Till the next repair.